Hey everybody, I wanted to give you an update on a few new expansions that I have either out now or coming soon for Dwarf Mine. Now, if you don't already know, Dwarf Mine is a game I made 2 years ago, and the way you play Dwarf Mine is you're essentially building a mine, drawing a mine on graph paper, and you're going to be adding rooms or hallways or ladders to your mine, digging deeper and deeper into the mountain, and the types of rooms that you add to your mine will help you benefit from the treasure that you're going to find in the mountain and fight enemies in the mountain. So in my opinion, it's a very fun game. It's somewhat of a unique game. There are not many drawing games that are also not journaling games, and so it's a game that follows different mechanisms to help you have a beginning and end to the game, along with drawing and experiencing a really great story. So that's Dwarf Mine. What I'm in this video to tell you is that there are actually 3 expansions coming out this summer. Now, each of these expansions was born from a lot of I guess crowdsourcing for ideas. There was a lot of Dwarf Mine fans out there. I sent out a survey, I did a few Reddit posts, and there was some really good feedback that I got about Dwarf Mine, both in how I could improve the game, but also things that some of you Dwarf Mine fans wanted to see. And so these expansions have basically allowed me to explore some of those avenues. So each of the expansions that I'm releasing this summer have a few things in common. First of all, each expansion is going to have a brand new map. And so that means instead of using the same mountain map that you've been using every single time you play Dwarf Mine, you're going to be using a different, unique mountain map based on the expansion that comes out. Each of the expansions also include new rooms that you can use. They include new bosses, so mountain bosses, things that you'll fight near the end of the game. They also include new treasure tables and new enemy tables. So in essence, each of these expansions is a new style or a new theme on Dwarf Mine. It's a new game, but it uses the same Dwarf Mine rules that you have from the base game. The most important thing, and I think the most exciting thing about each of these expansions, is each of these expansions offers unique rules and unique mechanisms to that particular map. And so one expansion will be different from the base game, one expansion will be different from the other. Now, there are 3 expansions I'm going to give a brief overview on so you can think about them and maybe it will spike your interest. The first is called Dwarf Mine Barrier Mountains. Those of you who play old school Dungeons & Dragons may get a few references with this one. In essence, this is a science fiction style Dwarf Mine game. Your mine will start at the Barrier Mountains and you will begin digging at the site of an artifact that fell from the stars a long time ago. It's a spaceship. In this game, the enemies have lasers, and they're very, very powerful, and it's going to be up to you to figure out how to access the spaceship in the mountain and get the benefits of the rooms in the spaceship and still try and survive some of the really overpowered enemies in this mountain. The treasure that you're getting, you may find some of the artifacts from the spaceship. You might find laser guns, things like that. You might also find key cards, which give you access and benefits to the rooms within the spaceship. So that is Barrier Mountains. It is actually out now. So if you're seeing this video, you can go buy Barrier Mountains and check it out. And if today is June 21st, 2022. If you're viewing this video very soon, I think the itch summer sale has started, and I think my drive-through RPG summer sale starts soon as well. So if you're on the fence about any of these, you can get them at 50% off if you see this video right now. The next expansion that I have planned is called Magestone Mountain, and in this expansion, it's all about magic. This mountain, Magestone Mountain, has ley lines where you can find Magestone and mine Magestone. There are 2 types of Magestone. There is pure Magestone and then corrupted Magestone. You'll need to create rooms to mine Magestone specifically. It's not something you'll find in your treasure table. It's something you have to specifically go after and get. But what you get with a Magestone is the ability to cast spells. And so there's going to be a spell list. You'll have the ability to cast spells and help you survive against the elementals in the mountain. And eventually you may even come up against the dangerous chaos elementals. And hopefully you have the right Magestone combinations to beat those chaos elementals and get deeper and deeper into the mountain. The final expansion I have is called Underdark. In Underdark, the Dwarf Mine game will start out similar to the base game of Dwarf Mine, and except you'll be seeing different enemies along the way. Now, what you do with these enemies is going to be important because as you get down to mine level 4, there's a giant cavern, and this is the Underdark. And instead of mining down into the cavern, what you're going to be doing is building up from the bottom of the cavern upwards. Now, the relationship that you have with some of the enemies that you encountered in the mine levels 1 through 3 is going to impact how they decide, or whether they decide to attack your city or your settlement in the Underdark in mine level 4. So there's kind of a duality of play there between the first 3 mine levels and then building up instead of down in mine level 4. So those are the expansions that are coming out this summer. Again, Barrier Mountains is out now. You can get the link down below. Magestone Mountain is coming out hopefully soon. I'm still finalizing a few design aspects, and then I'll go into the development and publication hopefully by next week maybe. And then Underdark I'm shooting for late summer, as that one's a bit more complex. Now, if you're really excited about Dwarf Mine, I have one more small update for you. I have one more expansion planned. Fingers crossed that everything falls into line for it, but I want it to be a campaign mode. One of the best pieces of feedback and most consistent pieces of feedback that I received from Dwarf Mine fans was that people wanted to play a longer game. Dwarf Mine kind of has a cutoff at the end, in that the bosses are very, very challenging and eventually your mine will fall. A lot of the feedback said, hey, I want to play a campaign style game so that I can put my mine down and come back to the same mine and keep on running it over and over and over. And I would like to design that. It's just going to take a little bit more work, a little bit more resources to figure out how that's going to come together. I'm going to have to change some of the base rules of the game to make sure that it's somewhat balanced as it goes through. So if you're a Dwarf Mine fan, that'll be maybe next year. We'll see if everything goes well. But I'm excited about that as well. But I wanted to make this video. Again, if any of those expansions that I just went through are, if you find those interesting, the links will be below and you'll be able to check them out there. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next video.